So we will be, sorry for the interruption. Okay. So we will be discussing the modern techniques that are available while structuring your article. And then each stage, so what kind of precautions that you need to take. So that also we will be discussing with in detail. So in the agenda of today's class is we will be discussing brief research assistance and literature review and scientific writing, selection of the journals we will be discussing in the next class, selection of journals and submitting. Once you are ready with your article, that we have to submit to some journals that we will be discussing in the next class, coming class, tomorrow class. And we will also discuss how to address the plagiarism issue also. This also we will be discussing in the tomorrow. And day after tomorrow, we will be having the presentation. So be careful. The general structure of any article. See, when you look at, when you first time, when you start doing your research, right? So when you take, like, even sometime what happens, your supervisor may give you the article to you, right? He may share you some article to you. So what are the things that you see first? You may observe the first initially the title of the title of the article. And there is another word, actually authors also there, that also will discuss. Title of the article. And next we could see the author names, means who are the authors they have contributed to that particular research. And the next one is the abstract. See, this is the base, the common structure of any kind of research article that you see. Okay, so make sure you should follow the properly. So title, author names, abstracts. Why abstract is required? Abstract always means, see, when you submit your article to the journals, right? Most of the time, editors will not have a time because they are not one. They are the one like who's taking care of entire journal, right? See, we are not the one person who is submitting to the journals. There are very many persons they may submit, right? So that is why. So he may not read the entire whatever we have article, right? He may look at initially the title and abstract, so that he can get to know whether this particular research is advanced or not from that only, right? So that is why by structuring, even though you have done very good work, sometimes if you are not having the proper title and proper abstract, then definitely your paper may get rejected, right? So these are the some common reasons, initial stage of the rejections. They may not say that exactly this is the reason, right? So you have to be very careful while dealing with this. Okay. Next is keywords, and keywords are also very important. I will show you the example also for each term. So the keywords are also very important. See, most of the time, as I have seen, because I also do the review and revisions, and we also do this most of the time research articles, right? So there are some drawbacks while giving the keywords. So, but you need to make a note, clear note that whenever you are writing your keywords, you have to you have to give the high priority for the work that you extended. So let us say I will give you some small example. So you may have done with one article with by using the more some automation. Instead of, like, there is a some, in the olden days we may have the automation, right? Automation, but you need to use some manual process there. But now in the recent days, what happened? The things are advanced, but you have used the recent technology. But while writing this one, right, like giving the keywords, what the people do is whatever the keywords are already available in the existing paper, existing article, whatever the study that you are making, right? From there, like if you give the same words and then if you give your words at the end, so that will be the drawback of your article, right? Because the advanced keyword should be the first. In the later common words should be there in the later on, right? So that way you have to maintain the standard of giving the keywords. So make sure you are maintaining the standards. And also the next part is the introduction part. So in the introduction also plays an important role, and we also have discussed about with very detailed way of how to write the effective way of writing the introduction also. So there, like where we have to give the high priority, how the structuring will be, how to generate the procedure in the introduction. So these things we have discussed already. And later on, we may have the formulation of the model, and sometimes you may have experimental. If you are working with the experimental things, then you may have the experimental setup. And next stage is the graphical abstract. Graphical abstract is something. See, these days, the most of the journals they were asking the graphical abstract. So it should replicate the entire work that you are doing, whatever the work that you have done, right? So that has to be represented in the graphical form. So that is called the graphical abstract actually. And the methodology. Methodology also will be writing here in the methodology part, and we'll also have the interpretation of the results. So while writing the results also, one has to take more care actually in this part. Most of the time, when we look at the articles, you may see the observations like, let us say there was some parameter as increasing this has been decreased, as increasing this has been decreased. They will be writing this much only. But that much see this, if you are writing in a similar version, you may not get updated actually. So what you have to, while writing the interpretation of results, you have to interpret in a proper way. Like as I mentioned, like as you know, if you say like this particular parameter is increasing this particular parameter, as increasing this parameter is enhancing. What is the reason for enhancing this? So these details you should know actually. If you doesn't know these details, then definitely you cannot know the subject actually, right? That is why you are not able to do. Because if you are able to do that, then definitely I'll give you another important thing that what you could get benefit. See, most of the time, if you are not able to give the results in a effective way with the physical description and the reason, physical reasons. So what happens is like sometime in future, like suppose there was another researcher, he want to refer your paper. By looking at the results, he may feel that oh, he also has written the similar version. So that way they may think and then they may not refer your paper. So there is a possibility of enhancing your citations when you write your results in it effectively by giving the physical results. So this will help you a lot actually. So if you want to improve your citations, also one can have this interpretation of the results in effective way. And next stage is the validation stage. So even though you have done the work, but we have developed the model, but always these days one has to validate our results with the existing articles. Has been this part has been become mandatory now because until unless we validate our results, people are not going to accept our results. So that's how the things are being changed. So one has to validate your results by having existing studies or whatever the extension that we are doing, right? That extension you can make it as zero and then we can. And if you are working with the AML, people does like they may be like converting the data into some portion into testing data, some portion into validating data. So training data. So once they train the data, then they can validate the by giving the prediction method, right? So that way also one can validate our results. And after that, there was another important part is conclusions. The conclusions is not the replica of abstract. Abstract is different from the conclusions. Most of the time, people think both are same, but it is not the same. Conclusions are what are the main outcomes of your study that we have to mention in it briefly. And in the abstract, like there are three things that we need to see, like what you considered, and how what methodology is available, and what are the outcomes of your study, your article. So these three things will be there in the abstract. But in the conclusion, mainly you will be looking at only the main important results, significant results that you have to mention there. And sometime what happened in the next stage is the acknowledgements actually. Acknowledgement section like nowadays actually common, right? Because people sometimes they want to make acknowledgement. Sometimes you may get project fund, so you have to add the project fund with the details. Sometimes what happen, you may think like you have been like due to experimental work, In our university, there is no experimental setup. In that case, how you will do this particular research? So what one can do? So they can go to the like other universities, access the things like experimental setup, whatever you are using, analysis for the analysis. So when you use their resources, right, we have to mention them in the acknowledgement also, because we have been visited there, and then I thank for that particular lab for providing the resources. That way, we have to mention the acknowledgement. Acknowledgement part is very, very important. Otherwise, there was a ethical concerns comes into picture, because if someone complain against you, like in that particular university, there was no facilities of this particular software, how they have been implemented. Because you may think like what happened, you may think like, oh, I have only done like that. If you give, if you give like, if you say, but you should have a proper justification also for that. If you doesn't have a justification, definitely you'll be in the trouble. So you should follow the ethical standards in the research by acknowledging, properly acknowledge the work that you have taken from the particular source, and there you have been got help. So all those information one has to mention in the acknowledgement section. And at the end, the last part is reference part. So as you know, in the references, whatever the article that we have been referred for the introduction, sometime introduction, and even in the formulation of the model, and sometimes if you have taken some source from the graphical abstract from the particular source, graphical abstract also, and even if sometimes methodology has been taken from the particular source, you can also have some references for the methodologies. And you can also say like sometimes results also have been exactly achieved from the particular results, that also we can mention here. So this is how even the validation also we have some references. You have to validate your results with the existing studies. N number of articles you can validate your results, but the minimum validation they were asking the one source you have to minimum validate your results with the already existing studies. So this is general structure actually. Now we will be looking at each one like with example. Like let us say start with the title. So once you understand how this structure, once you understand the structure, now we should know how we have to maintain the title, abstract, keywords, introduction, experimental setup or formulation of the model, graphical abstract, methodology, interpretation of result, validation, conclusion. Because each stage is having their own importance actually. You have to maintain high standards. So let us go with the next one. Like you can see here, the first one is the title, right? The title should be always very, very, very simple and informative. I have given you the examples also. One can see there, like you can see the example here, because the content, whatever you have advanced, like whatever you extended, those things has to be mentioned here. See, let us say I may have, they may be used in the earlier in the linear convection, and they might have used the nanofluid there, and they also had some other effect actually. So, but I have been extended by mainly, these are my focus actually. So, the nonlinear convection and hybrid nanofluids with heat source. So, this is the title that we have given very simple way and informative. Exactly like what we have done, what we extended, that has been shown here, right? So, it doesn't mean that entire things has to be covered. Mainly, you have to focus whatever the thing that we extended. So, that is very, very important while giving the title. See, as I mentioned, people are getting the rejections most of the time the initial stage. These are the some common simple reasons, because you may be done very good work, we are not doubting in that, but your work was excellent in the field, but still you could not able to give in a proper way of structuring your article, then definitely it may causes for the rejection. So that is why always one has to have the title as much as simple and informative. Even if you observe some of the journals, they may ask you in a, even the title has some limitation. You cannot use more than that words. So means the entire work that whatever you presented or whatever you have done, that you could able to present in its shortest form. So then your work will be the worthy. Means people thinks like okay, that's okay. It has been very simple way. the entire work what he has done. So that is why the title should be very simple and informative. While giving the title, you have to be very careful for your research article. And also, I have also given you the example for the long titles. You can see this also the title, but I have given analytical study of MHD convective, dissipative, modular flow fast, porous vertical surface in the presence of thermal radiation, chemical reaction, constant section. See, these many effects are there in this slide because they may be, see, earlier they may have MHD and they may have this one. But if you want to include your study and extended study, it is very tough for us because you have to give very simple way, right? So that is why you have to be very careful while giving the title. So make sure you are following the instruction that we are giving you. And next one is after title, we have the abstract part, right? Yeah, abstract. So you can see the abstract part. In the abstract, what is there, what we have considered, and what methodology we applied, and what are the outcomes of the our study. So here, but like you can see the simple way of writing. So I'll show you some of the article where we can have the abstract will be like means any article if you see right now we'll move on. So any article if you look at, we see like mostly like in the initial stage of the like when you start your research career as a researcher, right? Even though if your supervisor may give you some of the article to you, so what happened like while reading the article, you no need to read the entire structure of the article. What you can have the limited version of your article in the form of abstract, right? Meaning the entire things that they mentioned in the abstract one. See, when you take some particular, what are the main things that you require? You need what they have considered and what methodology applied. What is their outcomes? These three things you are getting in a brief version, right? So that is why. So always I suggest you to better to read the abstract mandatory. Okay. So if you could able to read abstract, right? Then so then definitely it is a like if you as many as abstract if you read, then definitely you can get to know the more about the particular field. So this is the way you have to mention. Like make sure you are mentioning the what you considered and what methodology applied, what is your outcomes. These three things. You can see here, till here they mentioned what is their study and their applications also. If you could able to give application, it will well and it should be it will be very good actually. So if you are able to could able to give some application of the particular topic, that is very good. Because you are giving the reason that this is the reason that I consider, right? Then it is great actually. And we can also say the methodology, how you transformed, how you applied the methodology. So that also very important. And what is your outcomes of the particular study? These three things should be there. Okay. Next. Okay. Yeah. Next one. The next one is keywords. As I mentioned, we discussed already, right? The keywords should be very advanced keywords. Must be a very advanced keywords because you should not use the already existing keywords, right? Because even though sometime what happen, you may people may done with machine learning algorithms, but you may be extended by using the AI, right? So now while giving the keyword, you should not mention first as a machine learning. You should mention AI as the first because your work is first. You have extended by using AI, right? So that is why you have to mention the advanced words should be first. And introduction. How the introduction will be? The introduction should we have to take from the recent published article. So that should be minimum 30%. We have discussed in detail also, right? So in that introduction, most of the time, while writing the introduction, minimum these days this criteria has become more actually. So that like minimum 30% recent means last 1 or 2 years you have to take minimum 30%, and last 5 years you should maintain minimum 60 to 70%. Then there is a possibility of our article will go for review. Otherwise, most of the time people get rejections in the initial stage. These are some common silly reasons. They may not say that oh, these are the reason that way. They say that huge number of articles we received. Due to this, we have considered only the high quality journals. That kind of message you may be receiving. The reason is these are some small mistakes. They feel like you are not able to structure your article effectively by including the recent article, recent studies. Then how they think that the work that you have done is a very advanced one. So that is the reason. Always maintain the high standards while writing the introduction also. So in the introduction also, what we have discussed in detail, like when we are see whatever the extension that you have done, you may be clubbed into two paragraphs. So in the one paragraph, you can have about one particular topic, and in another paragraph, you can have another topic, and then now you are combining these two, and then you are extending your model. So that way we have to write actually the introduction, right? And while writing the introduction, also another important one is you should maintain the 30% of the article should be the recently published article. And in the next part is the experimental setup or mathematical formulation. So in the mathematical, see, as I am from the mathematics researcher, like what we used to have, we do deal with most of the time with equations. See, the equation is meaning like we have some physical description in the mind. So that we will be writing with the physical description, why we are using this particular equation. So that way we have to mention about each and every equation, so that things will like we have like we can some kind of like things like physical description when you give about each equation, then people also refer actually, right? They like each word you have to represent it properly, and you have to define what it is each term. Let us say we have some magnetic field sigma b naught square by rho. So what is sigma, what is b naught, what is rho? So this all the information should be given. So then only things like when you see the in future, like people can refer you more and more. The reason is you have maintaining the high standards with the clarity, right? So the clarity will come when you whatever the defining in mathematically, that you should maintain the what it is you have to explain them. Then only you'll have a clarity. Otherwise, people will not get clarity and they may not refer your article. They say that they simply for the namesake they are doing the research. So that is why maintain the high standards while giving the mathematical equation. We have to give the even physical description also, why you are considering and why you are neglecting, what are the reasons. So these things are very, very important while writing the either maybe the experimental setup or mathematical formulation. And next one is the graphical representation of the model. So this will be the pictorial. Sometime if you are working with some kind of algorithm kind of things, you may have some kind of pictorial representation. But we most of the time we used to have some graphical representation model in terms of image. Actually, the model that whatever assumption that we made, according to the assumptions, we'll make, and then we'll make that into the form of a structured way. Like we may give you in the image format. And one means that by looking at the graphical abstract, one could see, oh, what this is the model they have considered, and they have applied this particular method. All the information will be there in the graphical abstract. I will show you this in even the articles also. We'll check all this information also in the article, and then we'll have a one clarity. And then later on, we will have the methodology section where you could explain about each methodology within detail, like methodology, whatever the methodology that you are applying, right? You have to mention with a brief. Even sometimes in the methodology section, you may have some pseudo codes. You need to add, if you want to add pseudo codes, you can also add pseudo codes, and algorithms. If you have, you can add algorithms, because these days most of the time we are using the AI tool, so we have to use some of the one or the another algorithm may be there. So we have to mention their algorithm name and how you approached. Even though you might have used the simulation, but you should know what is the methodology behind that, how the particular simulation works, how it works, how we are getting the output, how we are giving the input. So these things are very, very important in methodology section. So you have to give properly actually. And next part is the interpretation of the results. So here, as we know, the interpretation of the results is something. It is having the high impact actually. Like, the results that you are receiving is different, and the way of presenting your results is different, right? Even you might have done the wonderful work, so no one has been done, and you may created something new, but whatever that you created that you are not able to project in a proper way, then definitely you may not have the value. But even though the value, if you want to get a proper value, you should have the proper description, proper validation, proper reasons. So all the information you should provide in the interpretation of the results, or most of the time you could see as a results and discussion. People say even that this as a results and discussion. Results and discussion means whatever the results they have achieved, those results they will be explaining with the physical results. And the next stage is validation. Validation has become now these days in the common, because without validation of the article, people may not take consider your article actually, right? So that is why the validation is something that one has to do with the existing studies, and you should validate minimum some number of decimal points or whatever. Sometimes you may not get exact results, but you can have some kind of truncation error till this we have been compared. That kind of analysis you can have actually. And also another important thing is next stage is the conclusion section. So the conclusion, most of the people like the initial stage, they just copy paste abstract, right? But we copy in the abstract, we have only one or two results. You cannot mention entire results in the abstract. The main physical results you may be mentioning in the abstract, but conclusion is not like that, right? Whatever the results you have got, all the results will be mentioning over there, right? So and even while mentioning there, you should make sure the highly important, highly impact important results you have been mentioned in the beginning, and some common results, whatever the others are achieved, those results also sometimes you may achieve. So those results you can mention in the later version. And in the next stage, the acknowledgement. See, acknowledgement has the various sections listed, like in sometime you may be having in terms of funding, sometimes you may be having the help from the resources, help in terms of resources with other universities. Sometimes you may have acknowledgement like sometimes the software exchange also sometimes you may have, and even sometimes what happen, people like most of the student who are working in the experimental studies, they may require the access of the most labs. Some labs are highly expensive, so they may not have in their universities. So in that case, they should have some contact with the like collaboration with other universities. Either you can add the particular whoever helped you, right? There are that author name in the article, or sometime you may be adding them in the acknowledgement section, or sometimes you may be having some projects related to project work you are adding, right? Now, the project also you have to mention here. So this is the article. This is the research study that we are doing. As this has been supported by so and so agency, so and so member. That also you can add there in the acknowledgement section. So that's how the acknowledgement section also has become now priority, because it has been important now. And the last stage, this is the reference section. And even see these days, references also has become high priority. I'll give you some of the examples. Like most of the time, these days people use AI for the even reference section. What happened? AI will give us the reference section, but only thing is we need to validate whether exactly whatever you are assuming that particular article you are getting or not. AI will give you some related codes and then some related things, and then it will give us some title and their links, right? But now you have to make sure whether they are correct or not. So that is very important stage actually, right? Like in the references, because of the references also most of the time we use it to get the rejection. The reason is, see, when we have completed our article, now it is getting ready to submit your article, right? So you may be submitted to the some of the journal. So once you submit to the journal, what is going to happen is before going to the editor, editorial assistant will check actually. So editorial assistant will have options like even the editor, we can say editorial assistant, meaning editor will have the access, or editorial assistant will check initially the plagiarism, grammar, will check all these things, information, right? Once it is done, then he is going to send for the editor. So now the handling editor will be handling the particular article. Now, when editor look at the research article, you will see initially whatever we have given the title is advanced or abstract, they have mentioned the properly, or keywords are advanced or not, and whether they have followed the properly the introduction section. So all the things will be there. But before the stage, there is another stage. He is going to check a referencing check. So this stage it has become common actually. So what happens is when he is going to check with the references, right? References check. So what it does is it is going to display for us, like as even I am also there, some of the editorial board member. I do see like when you click on that particular icon, it could display like how many articles that you have been referred properly, meaning you have given properly the author names, title of the article, journal name, volume number, issue number, page number. If they have all this information, you'll be giving and the DOI number. So if you could have, if you are able to give all this information as a reference, then your work like reference give just like that you should not give. You have to give the article that you cited about that particular article in a proper way. These are the structured way. Different again, there are different journals that have different formats. That again in a like file reject when the paper rejects, then again you need to change the different versions of the formats according to the journal standards. That is why while maintaining the references also you have to be very careful these days. Because of these references also people get even rejections in the initial stage. So that is why we should maintain high standards while writing the references. So in whatever like you see the each stage has their own importance. So while writing that you have to be very careful. Yeah, fine. Next one is the next stage is in general, while you may be a fresh researcher or when you are just started doing research, you may not doesn't know anything about research, right? What are the main things that you need to have like what are the like you may have in your mind like so you when you give your even supervisor also give you some of the article to you, then you will say that go and read this article and get the things done, right? So what kind of problems you see? Like that's why I've given there. When we start reading the research paper, do you often find it difficult to structure your research paper? Meaning, like what to read, where I have to get the information, what kind of things are there? This kind of things no need these days actually, right? Because all the information is coming from the these AI tools now. Not only ChatGPT, you can also use the Gemini AI, Cloud. There are various AI tools. So we can use by using the AI, one can easily uh, get to know about the information very easily. Now, thing is, even though if AI give us, until unless we read, we will not get to know. Now, what to read and how to extend the models. So this is the some common problem that you face in the initial stage of the research, right? So that is why what I will suggest you can look at only abstract and conclusion title with the author names so that we can have some information like oh if and after some time we can have a connection. So in this article certain things are there, in this article certain things not there, so you can have some connection. Oh, this is that this things has been not done, this things has been not done. So that's how like how the sequence has come. So these things also we have discussed in the detail with the beginning class, right? I have given how to get started, right? In that I have given you the table. The table contains author names and title of the article and methodology what they have used and outcomes of the particular study. And sometimes you need to have some research gaps you want to identify. You also use some research, you have identified the research gaps by using the size case. So that way, there are various AI tools are there this day. So from this, we can easily getting to know, right? So in the initial stage of your research, you no need to go as like most because people have high expectations. So you can go with instead of having the invention. If you could do invention takes a lot of time because people not get easily inventions. But somehow, like if you are looking at the innovation, so innovation is something that you can extend the model by having some additional parameters. See, these days we are getting various kinds of mobiles. Why they are getting different versions of the models? What is the best thing that you observed there? Tell me anyone. So what are the main thing that you are observing? Each mobile, version to version. So invention means first time when they created the mobile, that is invention, mobile invention, right? Mobile technology. But after that, whatever you are doing, you are remodeling the things, existing things, right? Initially, we have a keypad phone. Later, we have converted that into with screen touch, and then you will be having a camera, all this information. After that, what happened? Camera quality you are increasing by changing the location and direction of the particular camera in the mobile. And that's why the different versions has come, and then we are using. So that is why initial stage of the research we can have some kind of innovation. So once you are clear with the innovation, then it is easy for us to move on with the invention. So once you do invention, then things will change. And I will also tell you some whatever the things that we have done the earlier classes about some apps. I have said I have told you brief about the research assistance and literature review. We will also see how this can be used. You can also use here Elicit and Google Scholar and Research Rabbit also. These are the some of the apps. You can check it out actually. You can click on this Research Rabbit. We will see how what is the advantage of this. In the Research Rabbit, you can go to search here. So let us say we'll type some keyword like image flow. You can search. It is going like the rabbit. You can check it out, right? See now. There are various options here. You can check it out. So related to image flow, what are the things that I have done? They have been displayed here. You can check it out right here. There are various articles who has been done. There are some six lakhs articles are there related to image flow. And here we can also have some kind of diagram, network diagram also. It could give us actually. So we can see here. Yeah. So now you can see the references that are related to keywords. If you have keywords, you can check it out. Even HJR list also they have given. Open access also they have. So if you type here references, so all the references may come here. Reference formats and citations, right? We can create actually our own folders also. You can click on this and then you can create actually. If you are a first time user, you can use. And if you want to use more like higher versions, you can also have better version of the things. Like this is the map actually, whatever they have given you about reference count, algorithm, all the information we will get from research data. And we can also see the similar versions also. So if you look at this, you can get to know the article as well as both actually. And then you could also see some of the results actually. Citations, the author. There are advanced options actually. You can also have like you can see here. I have added here paper one. Then here you can also have collections in the paper one. You can see again some other paper two or something you can create. So here you can refer the articles actually, right? Auto save. So what do we get on in here actually? So if you just click here, select them, and let us see. So once you click here, you have to save actually. Once you save, then we will be saving in this particular, because this is one kind of literature review that we can do in effectively. Like, because see, these are some online sources where you can save your things. Let us say what happened is sometimes you may be done your article by using the Google Scholar. Google Scholar also will help us in most of the time. But the disadvantage is, as I mentioned in the last classes, like we will not have a save option for you permanently. Like if you see now in this paper two, whatever the things are there, those things will come here. These two things have been saved in earlier, right? Those things has come here. So let us say still, if you want to have like some more article on this, we just click on this. So let us say I want to add this also, right? And even this, and once you select this, then you have to click on save button. And under that, where you want to save. This is paper two. Suppose I am doing some second paper, that task related. If you want to have, then click on this, and automatically you can save. It is been saved now. So now if you click on here, all this only this information will come, not all. Okay, whatever things that you have saved, right? So that is why the research rabbit also will help us and effectively while doing the literature review. Then once you have this, right? So this paper two collection, whatever we have, if we want to convert them into, so here from day to date, saved here, there are, these are the saved options actually, right? These are the articles that we saved. We click on this are selected versions, and you can see the saved, and again you can see already there, or you can create newly also. So now in the paper two we have 7, and here, so this is how we can save the things actually. And once you save, and sometime what happen, if you want to browse, you can browse your libraries, whatever you have created, and about them, then it has been connected link actually, right? You can see the search output results, all the information we can get from here. And similar works also we can get to know easily. So there are 3 folders are there, 11 articles are there. So these are things can export also. We also have option to export. Let's see now. So if you click on this export, like if you want to have CSV format or RIS format, if you are working with the latex file, we can have this option section. And we can also save them. So whatever the way you want, you can use it. So this is how it will help us actually, right? The next one is like Google Scholar we discussed in detail actually. You can also look at semantic scholar. Semantic scholar is something that you can, it will help us like for the case of, you know, for like Google Scholar only. Like you can also have site later I can create account. Once again I will go here. So we can just type here HD. So in the semantic scholar also like Google Scholar, it will give us actually all the information of the article title, and you can cite them in a reference way, proper way, and you can also, suppose if it has a open access directly, we can have a PDF directly. Like I'm asking now, MHD4 that is related to wherever we have the PDF. Like I want to see the article entire detail, right? So if you could not have access, then it is very difficult for us to read, right? So that is why you can also see at the publisher site, and sometimes if it has a PDF, you can also see the PDF here. open that particular PDF and read and download. So there are various options, right? You can also see here. Say that even you have a citation style. So if you can just copy paste in the title, like whenever it rejects, right? It is easy for you to make the for different formats actually. So if you are like most of the time what happen like once the paper is rejected, maintaining the general formats is very tough actually. So that is why all kinds of formats will be there here actually. So you can see here how many citations are there, PDF of the particular article. You can also save them in our library. So these things are there when we have if you look at in the semantics color. And next one is elicit. Elicit will help us summarize summarizing the paper section. Summarizing meaning like you can also see when if you have a PDF file, right? It may be having views one, but you are not having time to read. So in that case, you can just type here AI for optimization. Let us say optimization. So elicit also. This is the one of the AI tool where you can easily get the information about each of the article actually easily. So if you click on this, you can also have, if you select this, you will be getting here all the information like, so you can, yeah, chart with papers. You can also have a different columns there actually. So if you click here, summary of the particular one and explanation. So we'll also have, like, if you want to have a brief version of the particular article, right? So those things you can, if you want to have a different version, like add a new column, whatever the things that we have, other than that, if you want to have some new column, we can also create that new column format and then we can add there. Meaning like if you want to know the outcomes, conclusions, that you can add in column and those things can be get to know from there actually. So this also can be done here by using this section. So we can also chart with this. We can also have the summary of the each article in a brief version. And the similar version we have discussed size space actually. Size space also it will give us properly like information, right? How you are like what are the related article it give us in a factorial. Next one is like you can also see we'll move with the next slide. Yeah, this is the way that you connect actually research rabbit. I have just given you some sample version. So the next way you can also see this is the network way. This is the way that you can get actually each one connected, like where you can see the year wise some kind of different way of projecting, getting the information right. The way you can get to know from where to where it has been done. And this is like means here there are different papers actually. Like you can see this is by related papers, the topic that you have given. And second version network is by authors, author names network, who are the author that has been connected related to which topic. And because it is easy for you to identify the researchers who is working exactly in the particular area, right? If you want to know that, you can get to know because while if you want to like going for higher studies, then definitely this will help you actually. So you have to be very careful while taking this also. And these are some other resources actually. Trinka AI, SciSpace already discussed, Rightful, and Paperpile. So this will help you to take like a scientific writing and drafting. Like you can see Trinka AI is something that will help you even proofread of your article. What happens like once your article is accepted, after acceptance, it go to the production stage. The production stage, they may ask you some of the corrections. So those kind of proofread also it can run. It can be easily done by using the Trinka AI. Scikit we already discussed. It will give us the entire information in the shortest form. Because while making the tabular column, right, different ways of tabular columns, that time we discussed in detail. And rightful also it will also help you like if you like similar kind of version, but you'll be getting the better version of things there. So that also can be done. And paper file is something that you can save the files easily and store them your related articles in one place, and you can access from anywhere, even in the mobile also. You can easily access them. So this is the page that you see, Trinka AI, right? If you like, if you see there are very various columns here. I think you could see here. Uh, proofread of document, like you can click on that and then just drag and drop your article manuscript so that, and after giving this, it will give you the proofread version, which the initially what is there, what way we have given the bit of the introduction you have written, and the modified version also it gives. And you can see the, this is high space version. I have already, we already discussed this in detail. Suppose if you want to, if you don't want insight, if you want other information, you can also get easily from there. So if you want to have like some results here, you can, instead of this, you can select this particular color, results color. So here there is the results, right? Yeah, this is the results are there. If you want to know the methodology what they use, that also you can get to know easily. You click on this. Okay, and similarly, this is the size space only. Yeah, this is right full actually. This also, suppose if you want to, if you have entire things are ready, like abstract, manuscript, whatever you have completed, but you don't know how to generate the title. So, but if you give the title generator, if you give other information here, title can be generated. And even abstract also can be generated. If you want paraphrase, paraphrasing is something that we need whenever you get the plagiarized, your article is plagiarized, right? So those things also can be done easily. And these are some additional digital resources that where you can get all the information, right? ChatGPT, if you want to use paperpal also can be done. Connected papers, paper factuality. So all these are AI tools. And Grammarly also Grammarly is something that if you want to rewrite your entire things, so that also can be done. So if you want, like if the next class, once we complete like the selection of the journals and these things, then if you have a time, we will discuss in detail about this. I have given you here clearly paper call also. You can just have add on it to your Word file so that it can easily give you there itself. And this is billboard where you can rewrite your articles. Like you see, this is the normal version and it has been changed with changed version. Right? This is the original version, and you can see here changed version of the model, like rewriting the entire things. And here also Killboard also similar version. If you want to have rewriting versions, like you may not have from the English version, right? If you want concise version, you can give that same versions. And this is a Grammarly page, like where you can upload your files, then it give you Grammarly report. Because when you submit your article, even it is going to check the Grammarly check how many verbs they have used properly. So those things also can be verified because whether the words that you are using, whether you have used academic words or not. So that also is verified from this. And this is Grammarly app actually. And this is connected papers, like we can see the similar version of what we see in Research Rapid, the similar version we can get here. The network of the particular field that you can get is. And journal finder, this we will be discussing in the next class with the detail. So I will be